the right wing in this country, what's frightening is that they have political power. It's not like these viewpoints are fringe. It's not like the mainstream America dismisses this kind of talk. This is mainstream America, and it's sort of it's a daunting. Sometimes I feel in New York we're a little bit in a bubble if you compare ourselves to the rest of the country. And so it really is. It is chilling. It's very chilling. I think in terms of strategies, and we'll discuss it in the Q&A, but I think we must challenge and expose this institutional racism, whether it's targeting Muslims or people of African descent. You know, there was one last quote from the BlackBerry. There was a Virginia politician, a female, who recently said in her campaign, she said, "We have the chance to fight this battle at the ballot box before we have to resort to the bullet box. But that's the beauty of our Second Amendment right. I'm glad for all of us who enjoy the use of firearms for hunting, but make no mistake, that was not the intent of our founding fathers. Our Second Amendment right was to guard against tyranny." So that's what Malcolm X said. He was assassinated for that. It's completely unacceptable for black people to make that comment. But a white Republican female politician running for public office in Virginia, FBI is not going to her home. They're not raiding her and traumatizing her children. So there's really this issue of the white dominant culture. I think it permeates the issue of our discussion of Islamophobia. So if you really want to do sort of a deep treatment of Islamophobia, we have to examine the white dominant institutional culture and what that means in our society, and how we really haven't overcome the original intent of the founding fathers of the United States, which was to create a nation for people of European descent. I was at an immigration panel discussion in Ardsley in Westchester County, and there was a couple who looked like grandparents. They looked quite respectable, dignified. And in the auditorium of this high school, there were Chinese, there were Arabs, there were Asians, there were a few African Americans, and there were Latinos. And the discussion was about undocumented people in the United States. And this elderly couple openly said, this country is meant for Europeans. It's meant for people from Europe. They openly said that, and they felt comfortable doing it, and they felt safe saying that. So then when I heard that, I thought, wow, there are people who believe that, they think that, and they're not afraid to express their opinion because I guess in their minds they feel that others feel the same way. So that sends a message to me as someone whose ancestry is not from Europe. Finally, I have to mention, I don't know if it'll become an important part of the discussion later or not, but in our social justice movements, there is an anxiety, a legitimate anxiety about religious communities. And I think some of that anxiety is healthy in the sense that mainstream organized religions have within them systems of gender oppression, of homophobia, of religious dogmas that divide people and divide communities. So these oppressions are real, and I've found some people are sort of, with this whole Islamophobia, is bringing up anxieties about gender oppression and homophobia within the Islamic faith. But what I do want to say is that the oppressions that may exist within this religious community, or all religious communities, should not in any way be preventing us from taking a strong stance, as we did, to support the right of the Cordova Center, as you all did, in supporting the right of the Muslim community in Staten Island for their center there. So I think that there are spaces where we can have legitimate discussions about this topic. And we had a very lively discussion at WESPAC recently about what is the role of the social justice community in confronting oppressions in religious communities. So anyway, that we didn't come up with any answers to that one. It's a very interesting discussion, and I think people have a wide range of opinions on that topic. But I do want to say that those anxieties should not come in the way of showing strong support for communities that are under attack. Especially now these days that with this whole issue. So I think at that point I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Obviously we're getting a lot to chew on for the larger discussion which we'll be having, so this was wonderful. Our third and final speaker is Adam Horowitz, who is the co-editor of Mondo West, a news website which is devoted to covering U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East from a progressive perspective. If it's not already on your favorites bar on the top of your page, it should be. Their coverage of this issue and a lot of other issues has really been, well, for those who read it all the time, it's been really amazing. He was a founding member, or was a founding member of Jews Against the Occupation. He's been a board member of Jews for Racial and Economic Justice, and he served as director of the Israel-Palestine program for the American Friends Service Committee. In addition to the work that he publishes in Mondo West, he has also written for The Nation, The Huffington Post, Middle East Report, The Z Magazine, and Talking Points Now, among others. And he is a contributor to a book that just came out, Midnight on the Mavi Marmara, the attack on the Gaza Freedom Flotilla and how it changed the course of the Israel-Palestine conflict, which was actually launched at a great event this Tuesday where he spoke very movingly. So join me in welcoming Adam Horowitz.